Steve Reich was born in 1936 to a Jewish family living in New York City. Over the length of his career, he has managed to successfully combine elements of minimalism and traditional Western music with African and Balinese styles to create unique pieces sharing. He was greatly influenced by Terry Riley and Lamonte Young, both very important characters in the minimalist movement. He also had the opportunity to study African drumming at the Institute for African Studies for 5 weeks through the University of Ghana. In the late 80s, he had the opportunity to study 2 types of Balinese gamelan with Balinese puppet master A. Nyomen Sumandi. The mixing of minimalism and Balinese gamelan inspired music for 18 musicians. In Balinese gamelan music, you usually see a large ensemble playing repeated melodic patterns, and the timbre is created by metallophones, gongs, and xylophones, as well as other percussion. Music for 18 musicians is very reflective of this. It has many elements that parallel gamelan, including the use of 18 musicians. It also starts off very much like Terry Riley's in C, with a xylophone playing repeated notes to keep time. Nagoya Marimbas was written in 1994 for 2 marimbas and is comprised of a series of melodic patterns. One marimba starts a pattern, and the second marimba is always one pattern and sometimes even just one note off from the first. The rhythms and melodic characteristics of this piece are things that Reich learned in his time in Africa. The intricate rhythmic structures are similar to many of the rhythmic structures in his other pieces. The syncopation and careful collaboration of multiple musicians reflect traditional Balinese music and African music. You see many similar structural and rhythmic patterns in music for New York counterpoint. This piece starts off with a clarinet playing repeated eighth notes and harmonies fading in and out from that. Then it breaks off into syncopated rhythmic patterns that are structurally African because they can be divided into both duples and triples. Then in the middle it has a very Western sounding section where it reintroduces the original theme and finally moves into a more Afro-Cuban Latin sounding groove, and drums are added and is finished out in this style. The influences of minimalism, Western, African, and Latin music are all successfully blended in this piece to create a unique sounding arrangement for clarinet.
Some of your pieces are obviously about things, different trains, the cave, WTC 9/11, and others apparently not.
Right.
Music for 18 musicians, 4 organs, 6 pianos, etc.
Double sextet.
Double sextet. Does your music usually start with a musical impulse?
Well, I think you outlined a very good distinction. I mean, if I'm writing a vocal piece, then the very first thing is, what is the text? And not only what is the text, usually I'll excerpt from the text, what construction do I make of the text? If it's not a text, then the first question is, what are the instruments I'm writing for? I don't tend to write for standard ensembles. I don't write for the orchestra. I don't write for, actually, string quartet. All my string quartets are really 3 quartets because I keep wanting to have these doubling of identical instruments. And if you have a string quartet, well, where's the other viola? Where's the other cello? So inventing my own ensemble becomes, in a sense, the beginning of the inspiration, if you will, for the piece.
Music for 18 musicians, Music for New York Counterpoint, and Nagoya Marimbas are 3 different pieces from different points in the illustrious career of composer Steve Reich. Influences of Western classical music like Bela Bartok and Tchaikovsky Jazz, the minimalism of Terry Riley, African drumming from Ghana, and Balinese puppet theater and gamelan all come into play in the layers of timbre, rhythm, and melody throughout all of these compositions. The aesthetic achievement of this is astounding and has earned Steve Reich many accolades in the world of modern composition.